how about them Cowboys? The Cowboys and 49ers gave us one of the best games of Super Wildcard Weekend this past weekend. And to no surprise to Matt and myself, the 49ers came out on top and ended the Cowboys season prematurely. Matt, I have a simple question for you. Who's most to blame for Dallas's early postseason exit?
Well, I think everybody's going to point to the refs if you're a Dallas fan. They've been very vocal about that. Even Dak said that he blamed the refs. I mean, after the game, he was quoted as saying, "The fans felt the same way as us. I guess that's why the refs took off and got out of there so fast." I think everybody's upset with the way this thing played out. Well, for me, it's Kellen Moore. And as offensive coordinator, you have all these weapons this season, and they started out so well. I thought it was one of the better, more dynamic offenses.
Definitely.
You have Amari Cooper, you have Dak at quarterback, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup for a very short period of time, but he was still a part of this. Dalton Schultz, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, all of this, and you couldn't score at all basically against the 49ers. And even when the game was on the line and San Francisco continued to give them chance after chance, Dallas couldn't go down and get the touchdown that they needed. And so I think you really have to look at Moore because he's the play caller. He was the one making the decisions as how this offense would operate. And so you really have to look at him moving forward and wonder, is he going to be able to maximize and optimize this Dallas offense?
I mean, you're right about a lot of what you said. This was a complete and total team effort in this failure by the Dallas Cowboys over the weekend. And obviously you have to look at Mike McCarthy. You have to look at Kellen Moore. But to me, it comes down to many of those names that you mentioned. The Dallas Cowboys stars, no pun intended. And that starts with Dak Prescott. You know, I gave a lot of mess this offseason, or in this season really, to Josh Allen, who got a mega contract in the offseason. He struggled at points this season, and, you know, I talked about it vocally, very much so. And I have to keep the same energy for Dak Prescott. He got paid this offseason coming off of a major injury, which, you know, was kind of a leap of faith by Jerry Jones. And, you know, you're Dak Prescott. You run through the NFC least as expected. You get to host a playoff game against an underdog in the San Francisco 49ers. And you don't produce. No. You don't come to play. You're Dak Prescott. You go 23 of 43 at home, 20 incompletions. You have a QBR of 27. That's not going to cut it, especially when you're getting paid the amount you are. And if you're Dak Prescott, simply put, you got outplayed by Jimmy Garoppolo at home. So that's never good. That's why I have to look at it, and it's not just Dak Prescott. When I talk about the stars, you have to look at Ezekiel Elliott, who it was discovered after the game that he had been playing through a torn PCL, but he is not the same back. Amari Cooper targeted 10 times, only had 6 catches. He did score a touchdown, but it was obviously not enough. The 49ers only scored 23 points. Yeah. You would expect, if you tell somebody before the game the 49ers are going to be able to muster 23 points on the road, you should feel great as a Cowboys fan how this offense has looked most of this season. And even defensively, Trayvon Diggs was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for many people. This man had 11 interceptions. He was talked about as the best corner in football all season. He was consistently torched on Sunday by Brandon Ayuk. As he has been this season, Trayvon Diggs gave up the most yards in the NFL this season in cover one. So this is, again, a complete masterclass of a letdown by the Dallas Cowboys. Neither of us are surprised. No. We've been watching the Dallas Cowboys for the last 20 years. You're probably not surprised. As one famous man once said about the Dallas Cowboys, what can go wrong will go wrong.
Absolutely.
But did you have anything else you wanted to add to what we saw, what that mess was?
I mean, at this point, how much more do you need to revoke the NFC East like NFL card? Yeah. I get the Eagles won the Super Bowl, a few years ago, but at this point, the Giants are going through like their third rebuild in about the last 6 years. Washington is kind of just stagnant.
Trying to figure out a mascot. That's what they're trying to do.
They need to figure out a mascot, and Taylor Heineke is their best option at quarterback. Yeah. The Eagles may be the most promising team, but they just got embarrassed by Tampa Bay in the playoffs as well. This is just a division as a whole that you can't take seriously anymore. And Dallas, to this point, we talked about it earlier, you wanted to starting to give them credit, with the defense, some of the weapons they have, everything like that, but they just don't show up when you need them to show up, and I just can't expect it from them anymore.
100%, and again, that's why I can't I can't personally put all the blame on Kellen Moore. Again, this is Dak Prescott. You're in your 6th season now as a Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback. You are a veteran. This is somebody who, a community in Dallas who believes in you. Again, Jerry Jones, basically wrote a blank check over the offseason and said, Dak, put whatever number you want down. And Dak just hasn't been able to produce at the level consistently, that his paycheck, that his contract dictates. And that's going to be a problem for any franchise, let alone the Dallas Cowboys, especially when you got on the talent. It's going to be a letdown. That's what this weekend was. That's what this season was. But that's going to do it for us here for Simple Question. For Scott Procter, my guy, Matt Morris. We'll catch you next time.